This video examines the consumer's budget constraint. Now, the budget constraint is the different combinations of goods the consumer can afford given available resources or income. So the budget constraint is looking at what you can afford to buy given your income. We're going to use this information of our weekly budget to examine the budget constraint. Now here the consumer's weekly income is $1,000 and the consumer purchases only two goods, beers and patties. Now the price of a beer is $200 and the price of a patty is $100. We want to see the different combinations of beers and patties the individual can consume given a weekly income of $1,000. Now suppose the consumer decides to spend all their money consuming beers only. Since the beer costs $200 each and the consumer has $1,000 available as income, it means that if all the funds are spent on beer, they could consume 5 beer. Each beer 200 times 5 beer consumed equals the income $1,000. Suppose the consumer decides to give up one of the beer. So instead of consuming 5 beers, they consume 4 beers instead. This will give a total income of $800. 4 times $200. This will leave the consumer with how much? They have a total income of $1,000. 4 beers will cost $800. So they have $200 left over. This remaining $200 could be used to buy patties. Since the price of a patty is $100, it means that the consumer could consume 4 beers and 2 patties. If they give up one more beer, they will now have what? 3 beers. 3 times 200, 600. This means they have $400 left over. If this $400 is spent on patties, then the $1,000 would buy them 3 beer, 4 patties. We can continue looking at the different combinations of beers and patties that would satisfy the income of $1,000. At each stage, we give up 1 beer to get patties. So the next one will be 1 beer, 8 patties. And then finally, we ask ourselves, suppose we spend all the money on patties. If the full $1,000 is spent on patties, we could get 10 patties and no beers. Let's put these points to get our budget constraint or budget line. So the first point we have is 5 beers, 0 patties. So if we put patties on the X and beers on the Y, our point would be right here, representing 5 beers along the Y, but 0 patties. The next point would be 4 beers and 2 patties. So I could go across on my X-axis 2 places, then I go up 4 to get 4 beers, 2 patties. We do the same thing with the 3 beers, 4 patties. Go across the X 4 units, go up 3 units. That would give the combination of 4 patties and 3 beers. 6 patties and 2 beers, I do the same thing. I go across 6 units on the X, up 2 units on the Y. 8 patties, 1 beer. I go across 8 units on the X-axis, the patty axis. I go up 1 unit on the beer axis. And then finally, we are looking at only patties, where I spend my full $1,000 to give 10 patties and no beer. Connecting these points together, we get the consumer's budget line. Now, any level of consumption inside or on the budget line would be affordable. So any level of consumption inside, within, or on the budget line itself would be affordable. However, if we have a consumption bundle outside, this is not affordable. Let's see if we agree. This bundle represents what? 7 patties, 4 beer. What's the price of a patty? $100. So 7 times 100 is 700. What's the price of a beer? $200. 4 times 200 is 800. So the total cost of this bundle with 7 patties and 4 beers would be 700 plus 800, which is what? 1500. That's outside my budget. So it is not affordable. Now, what is the impact on the budget line if income increases? Now, if your income increases, it means I have more to spend on both goods. So as the consumer's income rises from, say, $1,000 to $1,200 per week, the consumer would now be able to spend more. The consumer will now be able to afford more units of both goods. So the consumer's budget line will shift outwards when their income increases. A change in income and increase in income shifts the budget line outwards. If there was a reduction in income, what do you think would happen? Yeah, the opposite. The budget line would shift in, because this would mean I have less money available to spend on both goods. Suppose the price of the patty rises. Now, if the price of the patty rises, it means that patties has become more expensive. What happened to beer? Nothing. Why? The price of beer did not change. So my $1,000, if spent on only beer, could still give me 5 beer. Only the price of patties impacted. So you need to ask yourself, suppose I'm still spending all my money on patty, and the price of patty has moved from $100 per patty to $200 per patty. What's going to happen? Now, as the price of patty moves from 100 to 200, it means that each additional patty is now costing more. I can consume the same amount of beer, but the amount of patties consumed is going to fall. So we say that the budget line will pivot inwards. The budget line will pivot inwards along the patty axis if the price of patties increase. Why are we saying this again? Patties have become more expensive, so I can now afford less patties given my income. The quantity of beer would not change because the price of beer is the same. The budget line pivots in. Let's flip it. Suppose the price of patty fell. Beer is not affected, but patties are now cheaper, so my income can buy more. So the budget line would have pivoted outwards. Changes in the price of a good pivots the budget line. The change in the price of the goods also impacts the slope of the budget line. From our review of graphing, we said that the slope of a line is given as the change in the y variables divided by the change in the x variables. In other words, rise over run. Let us try to calculate the slope for these two lines. Now, on the original line, initially I'm at this consumption bundle where I'm consuming 4 patties and 3 beer. The consumer now moves to the consumption bundle. He moves down the budget line to the consumption bundle where they're consuming 5 patties and let's call this 2.5 beer. I want you to recognize that both bundles are affordable because they lie on the budget line. Let's find the slope. We said that the slope is the change in the vertical divided by the change in the horizontal. So the vertical, we're moving from 3 to, let's call this 2.5. So the change in the vertical component would be a half. On the horizontal, I'm moving from 4 to 5. So the change in the horizontal would have been 1. So the slope of this budget line is a half divided by 1, which is a half. What happens to the budget line when it pivots in? Now, let us start at this first point, where I'm consuming 3 patties and 2 beers. If I move to another point, where I'm consuming 4 patties and 1 beer, let's try to calculate the slope. The change in the vertical would have been 2 to 1, so it's a change of 1. The change in the horizontal would have been 3 patties to 4 patties, so it's a change of 1. So the slope of this new budget line is 1 divided by 1, which is 1. So as the budget line pivots, the slope changes. Now, please attempt the self-assessment activity at the end of session 3.1 of the Unit 3 notes and post in the discussion forum for feedback. Attempting this question will allow us, your e-tutors, to see if you really understand the concept of the budget line. Also, please feel free to post any additional questions you might have on the budget constraint for answering by your e-tutor. Thank you.